Start good designer, design that they would one and all. Honorable expert of the webinar, Dr. Professor B.G. Thomas, Academic Director, Dr. Babita Chaube Madam, Dean of the Parul Institute of Social Work, Sunita Jolly Madam, and my dear students. With great joy and immense exclusion, I feel privileged to extend my warm welcome to all present here for the webinar on the research design. I am Dr. Christina Parmar. Thank you all for being here. We are very happy to welcome you on this special occasion of Parul Institute of Social Work. Now, I would like to request Dean of Social Work, Dr. Sunita Jolly Madam, to welcome and address our expert of the seminar.
Thank you, Christina Madam. I think from somewhere I'm getting a lot of voice. Yes, we all unmute. Christina Madam, can you unmute? Mute, sorry. So many noises coming. I think if there are students in staff room or somewhere, they can, please maintain silence. Yeah. So, first of all, good morning to all, one and all present here. And I'm very happy to, introduce Dr. B.G. Thomas, Madam, whom I have interacted long back. And I'm very happy, Madam, to see you again here and you are amongst us today. Thank you so much for being with us. On behalf of Parul University Management, Honorable President Sir, Medical Director Gitika Madam, Governing Board members, Provost Sir, and Registrar Sir, I welcome you, Madam, to Parul University. And today, let me tell you, Madam, we do conduct webinars on various topics, and each institution in Parul University conducts certain webinars in the month. However, this webinar series we have started especially for PhD scholars with guidance from Deputy Registrar Sir Dr. Ajit Gangwane and our Dean of PhD Dr. Vandana Patel Madam. So they have guided us to develop or conduct webinars for PhD scholars where they can get lot of help for their PhD. Also, I would like to tell you, Madam, that we can conduct such seminars and webinars also. Plus, over and above that, we can also conduct webinar for the particular topic of PhD if the scholars and they tell us to do so. So we may again need your help on those topics which are of your expertise and which are of your interest, Madam. It would be also great if you can, come offline and we can conduct special sessions for these people. So now I introduce B.G. Thomas Madam. Madam is currently working with as a reader and associate professor at Department of Social Work, SP University. After completing her BCom from Mahatma Gandhi University, Kerala, she did her master's in social work and PhD in social work with gold medal from Maharashtra, and she was with Shivaji University and Nagpur University as well. Madam is net cleared and has done a lot of major and minor projects with very reputed institutions like UGC, ICSSR, ICMR, and SP University. These are the very top-notch institutions, ICSSR and all that, for social work education. Her area of interest are gender, health, migration, and of course it goes without saying that research is very close to her heart. Madam has published more than 55 articles in national and international journals, and I know B.G. Thomas Madam as a very simple and humble human being. So nice to connect with you, Madam, again, and we welcome you. Over to you, B.G. Ma'am.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sunita Jolly. In fact, I also feel very happy and honored to be associated with Parul University. I think I'm audible.
Yes, ma'am, you're audible.
Okay, fine. See, thank you very much for inviting me and giving me this opportunity to talk to you all about research design, the topic which has been assigned to me today. I'm so happy to be associated with Parallel University. And as you said, research is my passion, and I would like to teach and share with the students, whoever wants to know anything. And I won't say that I'm an expert. I'm still a student of research. Research is such a topic that the more we get into that, we will be having so many doubts, and we will be becoming like little confused and all. So research is an ongoing process where we cannot claim that we are very good or experts. But of course, together with students, it is always my pleasure to study more about research and learn a lot, as it is an ongoing process. Coming to our topic, research design. As you all know that research design is very, very important. Once we want to do a study, we want to do research, either a research project or a research article or a research-based book, whatever it is, whatever will be the outcome or the result of our study, we need to follow a very systematic research design. Without a foolproof research design, the product will not be having any quality, right? So the quality, to maintain the quality, to maintain the integrity of the work we will be doing, we need to follow a very systematic research design. So I'll be talking to you about research design. This topic itself is very big. I'll try to cover as much as points in that. And I know that there will be still more to be added to this topic. But within an hour, which has been given, I'll try to cover all the important points which we may need to keep in mind when we do or conduct a study. As I understand, most of the participants are PhD students. You all have enrolled in the PhD course, and you might be in different stages of PhD. So the research design, the main points will be covering. You can connect with your topics. You can have your clarifications if needed, maybe after the classes if time permits, or afterwards also you can mail me, or you can get to Christina madam or whoever responsible for that. I'll be happy to clear the doubts if you have at all possible. So research design, as we all know, that it is a blueprint. Okay? It's a blueprint of what we are going to do. PhD thesis is the outcome of several, the work or the incorporated work we will be doing with many points in our mind. So design is very much important. It's something like a framework, right? Before we start, we all know that before we build a house, if you are planning to build a house, so years of planning we do to construct the house. So the research or our PhD product or PhD dissertation is our product. And to make this product a beautiful one, a systematic one, or an error-free one, we need to work a lot. A hard-working or homework is needed. So this research design is a blueprint which will be having everything, right? At the same time, it can be an ongoing process also, and sometimes, right, simultaneously we may have to concentrate on many points, and sometimes, see, the first step and the second step or the third step may get overlapped also. Simultaneously, we may have to work together with many steps, right? So it is a blueprint or it's a framework of planning research. We do research, but the research should be done with a lot of planning, and we need to ask several questions to ourselves, try to find out answers to these questions, and how accurately we are able to make answers to the questions, how accurately we are able to get answers to the questions. So that much correctly or accurately the product will be there. It sets the research design, it sets the parameters of a project. It sets the parameters of a project. So there are several parameters. We will be seeing what these parameters of project, what these parameters are in the coming slides. It determines exactly what will and will not be included. Okay, so what are we going to include in our study? The objectives, the hypothesis, or the data, the quantitative data or qualitative data, who will be included in our samples in the inclusive criteria, the exclusive criteria, which design exactly we will be following. All will have to be decided in advance. It should be well decided. Otherwise, there can be problems, right? It also defines the criteria by which we will evaluate our results and draw conclusions. Okay, what are the criteria we are going to include so that we will be able to have a good evaluation of our study, and how are we going to get or draw conclusions with the help of which all types of statistical methods, advanced research methodology we may be following so that we will be able to get the result. It means making a research design. What do we mean by that? We need to study and we need to make decisions also about. And it's not that easy to make decisions about, like, many points covered under the head research design. For that, what we need to do is we need to read a lot. Literature review is so much important so that we can have answers to many of our questions which arise in our mind in connection with our study. The type of data we need, which type of data we will be needing, which are the types of data. It can be qualitative data, it can be quantitative data, and again in measurement, it is said that the different types of data, which has been divided into ordinal, nominal, ratio, and interval and ratio data. The different types of data. In which form we are going to collect this data? Are we going to collect data in nominal way, or in the ordinal level, or in the interval level, or in the ratio level, right? So why it is important? The data collection, or which type of data, the type of data is depend upon, or it leads to some or certain type of measurements we will be able to do, right? The nominal and the ordinal data are considered as qualitative data, while interval and ratio data are considered as quantitative data. And if we collect data, quantitative data, what we can do, the statistical test we may be able to do, the descriptive statistics and the inferential statistics we'll be able to do. It depends upon the type of data we are having, the type of data we are collecting, right? If we forget to collect data in ratio level or in interval level, which are considered to be the highest level of data, we may not be able to do certain inferential statistics like ANOVA or t-test, etc. Right? Then we cannot think about having or conducting such statistical analysis with the type of data we are having. We cannot go back and collect it again. So that is the reason why we need to be very clear before we decide which type of data we will be needing. So if we want to test the hypothesis, we need to have certain type of data. So we need to have that knowledge, awareness about it. Then another point is the location and time scale of the research. From where we are going to collect data? From all over Gujarat or from some districts? How will we decide from where we will collect data? All over Gujarat, time scale and the budget we are having, the number of investigators we will be able to appoint, or personally, from how many places we will be able to collect data, the participants and the sources, the primary source or the secondary sources, which source will help us to fill our gaps or to collect data, the variables and hypotheses, if relevant. We know that in all the studies, the hypothesis may not be needed, especially in exploratory studies, it may not be needed. But the variables and the hypothesis will have to be clearly mentioned. If hypotheses are being mentioned, definitely there should be independent variables and dependent variables. In hypothesis, we need to look into that, whether the variables are clearly defined or not. In every hypothesis, there should be minimum one independent variable and dependent variable. A mistake we all do, especially in the research we do. We make very a rosy hi-fi hypothesis, but whether this hypothesis can be tested or not, are the variables measurable or not? In measurement, we know that many of our social science variables are abstract variables, right? They are not. They are abstract in nature. It cannot be seen. For example, life satisfaction. We cannot see life satisfaction. The height we can measure. A direct measurement is possible. But some variables like quality of life satisfaction, women empowerment, etc., cannot be seen. It has to be measured with a standardized tool. Okay. So whether the data we are having in our hand is measurable or not, if it is measurable, then only we will be able to test the hypothesis. So whenever we make hypothesis, we need to be very clear that are these hypotheses, in the hypothesis, the dependent variable and the independent variables are defined properly or not, and are they measurable variables or not. The methods for collecting and analyzing data. Which are the methods we use for collecting the data or analyze the data and analyze the data. The methods of collection, it can be the primary method or the interview schedule or the questionnaires, and which type of test we will be doing, the descriptive statistics or the inferential statistics, all will have to be decided well in advance, and then we will be able to conduct the data. And two very important points we want to highlight here is the reliability and validity of the study. Okay, when we think about a study, when we think about research, we have to think about the reliability and validity of the study. If it is not a reliable one, if it is not a valid one, then it will not be having any value, right? Even if we spend years together to conduct our study and produce our dissertation or the article, and the reliability and validity, lack of that will be a big problem. And how we collect, measure, analyze, and interpret our data. The reliability and the validity. How can we ensure reliability and validity? It all depends upon the ways in which we collect the data, measure it, analyze it, and interpret it. Okay, and a strong research design is crucial to a successful research proposal. So to make a successful research proposal or a scientific paper or a dissertation, all these are outcomes of our research, that all need to have a strong research design as a foundation. A strong research design will enable us to have a very fruitful or very successful proposal, a paper, or a dissertation. Okay, so a wrong choice of design, what it will give us, we will be at risk of having a very low validity and reliability. So anyone can question, maybe at the time of Viva also, how can you say that? No, so there is a causal relationship between your dependent and independent variable. There can be other reasons also why this relationship is being shown. Okay, so smoking leads to cancer. Right? So how can you say that this way if you have not controlled other extraneous variables in that? So there should be enough, we should think in advance properly that what all extraneous variable may come in between, which can be threats to our internal validity or which can be threats to our external validity. Right? So when this happens, it is quite difficult to find the real answer to a research question because there could be some rival hypothesis that can explain the occurrence of a problem. So the relationship we have found as a result of our study can be countered by some other arguments. Then we need to be very clear. No, this is this relationship, and this has been proved by controlling other extraneous variables or other confounding variables. We need to have this space. The selection of an appropriate study design can minimize all these errors by maximizing the reliability and validity of the data. A strong research design can be made by maximizing the reliability and validity of the data. So these two terms are very important. I would like to talk more on these two terms, reliability and validity. Okay, I'm sure that you all must be knowing what is reliability and what is validity. But of course, to make us more clear, it's always good revisiting these concepts once in a while. So it will give us like a more clarity. It will enable us to ask more questions to ourselves so that we can make our design a strong one. Are we looking into this aspect when we think about our study? Are we able to ask ourselves these questions so that our research becomes a reliable one or not? So reliability kya hai? Validity kya hai? What does it tell us? Reliability is what? It is the extent to which the results can be reproduced when the research is repeated under the same conditions. Reliable. The word meaning reliability is, or reliable, that person is a reliable person. Okay. So he sticks to what he says, or she sticks to what she says. So today you ask something, the answer is A, and tomorrow you ask the same question, the answer is B. We may conclude that the person is not a reliable person. है ना? तो कुछ भी वो बता सकता है. Any answer, any given answer will come to that person. That is in normal way, layman's language, reliability is a person is a reliable one, or trustworthy or not, right? So the extent to which the results can be reproduced when the research is repeated under the same condition, that is reliability. If the condition is same and if the research has been repeated, the result should be same. Then we can conclude that the tool used is a reliable one. Okay. At the same time, what is validity? Validity is the results, the extent to which the results really measure what it means to measure or what it meant to measure. क्या measure करना चाहिए था, वही वो measure कर रहे हैं क्या नहीं, right? So the results really measure what they are supposed to measure. Okay, so all the reliable measures, reliable tools may not be valid measures. Okay, for example, if we are using a weighing machine, fine, and first we have seen our weight. If it is 55, the second time again the same weighing machine, the same person, the weight is 55. Again, third time we are weighing the weight and the person is same, the machine is same and 55. We can conclude that weighing machine is a reliable machine. But if the machine itself is not a correct one, if it is out of order, right? It's not working properly. The weight is 10 kg below the actual weight, which has been shown. Even if all 3 times the weighing machine shows 55 as the same weight, even if we conclude that it is a reliable machine, exactly, it's not a valid machine because the person actually weighs 65 kg. Because of the problem with the weighing machine, all the times the weight is being shown as 55. So it's a reliable machine in that sense, but it's not a valid machine. So whether what we are supposed to measure is being measured by our tool or not is being seen in validity. So that's the main difference between these two terms. So how the reliability can be checked and how the validity can be checked in our study. When we think about our study, we need to keep that in mind. Reliability and validity are very, very important. So the reliability, how it is assessed. How can we assess the reliability of our study? How can we ensure that what we are going to do is a reliable study? So this consistency of the results should be checked, or it can be checked across time, across different observers, and across parts of the test itself. Okay, the book says that these are 3 methods or 3 ways by which we will be able to ensure that our study is a reliable one. one by checking the consistency of the results across time. Okay, different time, across different observers, and across parts of the test itself. We can split half. We can have the split half reliability test to see whether the equal parts have got the same consistency or not, whether these two parts have been correlated well or not. Okay. And how do they relate also? A reliable measurement is not always valid, as I said earlier. It may be a reliable one, but it may not be a valid one. The results might be reproducible. बार बार वो reproduce करते हैं, repeat करते हैं, same answer मिल सकता है, but they are not necessarily correct. वो हमेशा सही होना जरूरी नहीं है. It may not be valid. Okay. So validity can be checked as reliability can be checked across time, observers, and part of the test. In the same way or at the same time, how validity can be checked? Validity is whether it measures really what it's supposed to measure. Fine, this can be ensured by having a look into the results, how well the results correspond to established theories and other measures of the same concept. Okay, this measures same concept, how it is related to the known theories and established theories about the concept and other measures of the same concept. There can be other measures also of what we are going to study. Okay, ours may not be a first study, and there could be other tools available or other standardized tools available to conduct the study of the same topic or the same subject. So how our tool is being correlated with other tools, that can be seen, that can be one way of measuring out the validity of our study. And as we have seen that all reliable measures, all valid measures are reliable, but at the same time, the reliable measures may not be valid. A valid measurement is generally reliable. If a test produces accurate results, they should be reproducible. Right? So all the valid measures are reliable measures, but all reliable measures may not be valid measures. Now we'll see the types of validity as we have seen across time, observers, and internal parts of the test. We can have reliability tests. So the first type of reliability is across time. And across time, how our tool is reliable. This can be done with the help of a test-retest method. Okay, the type of reliability or types of reliability. The first one is test-retest method. What does it assist? The test-retest. इसका meaning ये होता है, we'll be doing a test and again we will be doing it. Right? And there should be a correlation between. एक बार किया, दूसरी बार किया, बहुत अलग result आ रहे हैं. There is no across time. There's no consistency. So we may conclude that the reliability is very less. The consistency of a measure across time, in this we will be seeing, do we get the same result when we repeat the measurement? एक बार weight measure किया, दूसरी बार किया, तीसरी बार किया, the same result should come. Okay. So second time it should not be something else, third time it should not be something else. Then we conclude that there is something wrong with the tool. There is something wrong with the scale. Scale बराबर नहीं है. Right? In this case, there is an example given. A group of participants complete a questionnaire designed to measure personality traits. To find out the personality traits of a group of participants, a questionnaire is being given and it is being filled. And if they repeat the questionnaire days, weeks, or months apart, after days or after months or after weeks, and give the same answers. Today, if we are doing, the next week again if we do, and then after that again we do, and we get the same result, almost same result, this indicates high test-retest reliability. Test-retest reliability. एक बार test किया, retest किया, again किया है, then if there is a correlation between these two tests, the first test and the second test, or the test and the retest, if there is a correlation between these two tests of 0.7 or 8, the instrument has acceptable reliability. It's not validity. It has acceptable reliability. So in the test retest method, to check the reliability, what we will be doing is we will be conducting a test, and maybe after a week or day or week or month, we'll be doing it again, and then we'll be seeing whether there is a correlation between the results of this test or not. Then the second one is inter-rater reliability across time, across observer. Okay, inter-rater reliability. First one we have seen whether the time, this day or that day after a week. Second time, the same weighing machine, right? The second one we are seeing the consistency of a measure across different observers or different investigators or different interviewers. Okay, do we get the same result when different people conduct the same measurement? Okay, even if the interviewers are different, a reliable test should give the same result. If the result gets changed according to the observer, according to the interviewer, we can conclude that there's a lot of biasness came in between the study or the observations. So there's scope for biasness and perceptions. A reliable study should have minimum risk of having biasness and prejudices. So here the example, based on assessment criteria checklist, 5 examiners submit substantially different results for the same student project. If a student is being evaluated by different examiners, right, this indicates, and if they are giving 5 different observations, 5 different grades, which varies in the quality of that student projects. This indicates that the assessment checklist has low inter-rater reliability. Okay, the assessment criteria checklist, all have used the same checklist. All 5 observers or the teachers have used the same checklist. And using the same checklist, if all 5 have evaluated a student's project and came out with 5 different observations, we can conclude that the checklist has got low inter-rater reliability because the criteria are too subjective. There was so many opportunities that these 5 observers could have their own ways of observing it. Right? So here we conclude that this checklist has got low inter-rater reliability. Right? So we need to minimize, we should try our best to minimize the subjectivity while we try to include or increase the objectivity. Okay, objectivity or subjectivity. Subjectivity kya hota hai? Right? So they will be having their own, they have opportunity to add their prejudices or biasness and perceptions, etc. while observing an observation or while interviewing the respondents or while collecting the data. The third one is internal consistency across time, inter-rater observers, and the internal consistency. The consistency of the measurement itself here. Do you get the same result from different parts of the test that are designed to measure the same thing? Consistency of the measurement, whether the items included in the tool are being related or not, how the items are consistently related. That is what is being checked with internal consistency. And how do we check it? How can we make sure that the tool we are using has got internal consistency? To design a questionnaire to measure self-esteem, if we randomly split the results into 2 halves, okay, the results will be having the data collection on the pilot study, and then we can randomly split the results into 2 halves, split half reliability, it is said. there should be a strong correlation between the two sets of the results. If the two results are very different, then this indicates low internal consistency. Randomly, see if we are using SPSS or any other software to check the internal consistency, it will do it automatically. The software will do it automatically with the clicks and all. So we need to calculate the coefficient alpha. Okay, the alpha test is being done, and it will tell us whether our tool has got an internal consistency, reliability or not. The coefficient alpha result showed will be if we get alpha result of 0.9 or above, we will conclude that our tool has got excellent internal consistency, reliability. And if the coefficient alpha is between 0.8 to 9, it's good, and somewhat even lower alphas also can be considered acceptable for relatively short instruments and all. Okay, so the internal consistency, reliability, to check that, we need to do the coefficient alpha test. Now, your students all must be using, doing your research, and some of you must have, some of you must be using the standardized tools which are already available. That means the tools which have been developed by the researchers. Okay, but today we know that there are so many tools available in the research world, where many researchers they do check the reliability, validity, and the factorial analysis, the principal component analysis, everything they do conduct item analysis also. And then the tools have been published, in fact, with the procedure and the methods they have gone through while developing the tool. And if we find that our area of interest fits with this, the tool, if we can collect enough data about a topic we are interested in, we can definitely use that tool, adapt that tool, and only thing we need to acknowledge it in our study, in our dissertation, that this tool is being used to assess the quality of life of patients suffering with cancer, or the quality of life of women working from home, the quality of life of people, or the organizational culture, the employee engagement, or the life satisfaction level, or the marital satisfaction level. There are so many topics we may be interested in, and there are so many tools available also in the market or in the research world which we can use it. But when we use it, again, we need to be very sure that the tool we may be using or we may be interested in, we find that, okay, our interest area is attached with this, so can be fulfilled. We may be able to collect enough data related to our subject with the help of this tool. But we need to be very clear that the tool is being developed for whom, which place, and in which culture, in which cultural context, and for which age group and which category and all. So simply adapting a tool is not good. We need to see whether the tool is, how far it is reliable in our research setting. Fine. So even if we are using a tool already available, we need to see whether it has got the reliability or not, internal consistency or not. For that, the researchers, they do conduct the internal consistency reliability test, and the alpha value is being mentioned in the dissertation, and be very sure that it should have an acceptable, either excellent or good internal consistency reliability. So in the research methodology chapter of your dissertation, you need to have a head of reliability test, or the reliability of the tool, or reliability of the schedule. And under the head, you need to how many or which all tools you have used, and then what is its reliability. Then another question: if a tool is not available, okay, so about or on the topic you are interested in, then what we will be doing? Some of you may be making a tool, trying to make a tool, even if you are not getting it published, even if you are trying to make a Likert scale, with what is Likert scale, you all must be knowing. They can be strongly agree or a 5-point scale or 7-point scale or not. We may be developing to ensure to ensure that we can do advanced statistics and all in our data analysis. So we may be developing tool, and then what about the reliability and validity of this tool? Again, there should be definitely, all those who are developing the tool should definitely conduct the internal consistency test. They may do the test, retest, reliability test, everything can be done, but definitely the internal consistency in the alpha value should be mentioned in the study. Fine. And always it's not possible that we can have a tool hired. We need to develop statements. We need to make Likert scale, and for that, in research design, we need to keep in mind that. So there are certain steps to be followed to ensure that the reliability and validity is being maintained. Right. So this is all about reliability, and then going to validity, whether what we are measuring is what we are supposed to measure or not. Yeah, we are measuring something else, है ना? It may be reliable, अच्छी तरह से हम measure करते होंगे, लेकिन हमारी objective में this is what we meant to measure. This is what we needed to measure, but we are measuring something else, but very nicely we are measuring, but that is not acceptable, right? So validity is harder to assess than reliability, but it is even more important. To obtain useful result, the methods used to collect data must be valid. The data collected must be valid, otherwise it will not be producing the result which is being expected. The research must be measuring what it claims to measure. What we are saying that we are studying, it should be studied. We cannot study something else. So the points related to validity, what does it assess? Okay, the construct validity, the types of validity. In types of validity, we should see certain types of validity. One is construct validity. The construct validity can be of two types, the convergent validity and discriminant validity. Okay, so we'll see that first, and then we'll go to the next one, the content validity. First, the construct validity. It is, what is construct validity? The degree to which a measure relates to other variables is expected within a system of the theoretical assumptions or relationships as reflected by the degree of its convergent validity. Okay, convergent validity is the validity when its results correspond to the results of other methods of measuring the same construct. As we have seen earlier, whether the study, our measure, a measure has convergent validity when its results, our measure results is corresponding to the results of other methods of measuring the same construct. There can be other methods of measuring the same construct. The result which we get with the help of our tool is correlated with the other measures of studying the same concept or not. Have to see. So an example here, if the clients whom clinicians identify as having low levels of marital satisfaction tend to score lower levels of marital satisfaction than clients who clinicians say have higher levels of marital satisfaction. दूसरी studies में, दूसरी accepted published studies में किसकी marital satisfaction कम दिखाते हैं, right? हमारी tool के हिसाब से when we conduct study and our results should match with the results of other tools in the market. If the clinicians say or identify, clinicians are whom they are treating them, according to their identification, the low level of marital satisfaction, those who are having treatment for that, they should score less with the tool we are using. Then we can say that it is a valid tool. Okay, so those identified with low level satisfaction should score low level marital satisfaction with the tool we are using also. Then we can say that there's convergent validity. There's discriminant validity. Discriminant validity क्या है? It's a measure has discriminant validity when its results do not correspond as highly with measures of other constructs as they do with other measures of the same construct. With the example, it will be more clear. If your scale is really measuring marital satisfaction, it should not correspond more highly with measures of self-esteem or depression than it does with measures of marital satisfaction. If we are using a tool to measure marital satisfaction, its correspondence with self-esteem or depression should not be more high. It should not highly correlate with measures of self-esteem or depression than it does with measure of marital satisfaction. दूसरी measure self-esteem वाला tool के साथ या depression वाला tool के साथ इसकी correlation ज़्यादा नहीं होना चाहिए in comparison with measures of marital satisfaction. That is discriminant validity. The next one is content validity. Whether our measure has got the content validity or not. Whether our measure is measuring, measurement tool is measuring all the aspects of our concept we are studying or not. It covers all aspects of the concept being measured. Okay. To claim that if we are conducting a study on a class of students level of English, if a group of researchers is interested to study the level of class of students English, level of English language, we know that to study the level of English, the tool should have heads about, or it should have content about the reading ability, the writing ability, the speaking ability components, but no listening component. Okay. So a tool, or to understand if we are assessing a student's English ability, right? The level of English, assess the level of English language of students. We need to see whether they are able to write properly, whether they are able to speak properly, read properly, and listen properly. Okay, you know that IELT test में वगैरह तो writing ability है, listening ability है, comprehensive ability है. So then they conclude that the person is good in English according to their standard. Why this test includes all the aspects? Because the content, or it covers all the areas, then only there can be conclusion that the person's English proficiency is good or bad. If we omit one, if we skip one part, not including, if our measurement tool, if our study is not including the listening ability, okay, we cannot claim that our tool is measuring the proficiency level of students in English. The experts agree that, here why it is like that, experts agree that, or the available research literature says that listening comprehension is an essential aspect of language ability. Okay, without that, we cannot claim that ours is an overall proficiency test which tries to find out whether the children have got English proficiency or not. So the test lacks content validity. Okay, here we can conclude that it lacks content validity. Whenever we go through a tool, the title of our study says the level of satisfaction. But within the tool, we have not included all the aspects of level of satisfaction. We cannot claim that our study is on level of satisfaction. At the same time, it's not always necessary that we need to include all the aspects, right? But then we cannot write level of satisfaction. We can write in the title what we are studying only. We may be choosing one or two or three aspects from level of satisfaction. Then make it very clear that in the title, we are not claiming that we are studying about level of satisfaction. Right? Then the criterion related validity. After concept validity, the criterion related validity is based on some external criteria. Okay. So there can be some external criteria and whether our tool is being related with is correlated with the external criteria or not. Okay, a survey is conducted to measure the political opinions of voters in a region. If the results accurately predict the later outcome of an election in that region, this indicates that the survey has high criterion validity. Here it is the predictive validity. Okay, the criterion related validity is divided into three. One is predictive validity. Okay, the predictive validity is the degree to which an instrument accurately predicts an external criteria that will occur in future. Today we are trying to assess, in the example over here, today we are trying to assess the performance of individuals on driving test. That is happening today, okay? And the predictive validity is how do we find out whether our tool has got a predictive validity or not. If our findings correlates well with the driving ability of the people, okay, on whom we have done this driving ability test, whether the driving ability test result has got correlation with the actual driving ability of that person, people or not. Same way college board exams, whether it has got any correlation with the success of these children in the later life or not. That is predictive. How effectively our results can predict an external criteria. Here external criteria is what? Actual driving ability or the successful in college. Okay. So whether there is a correlation or not, that is predictive validity. Then the concurrent validity, this is non-concurrently, which has been predictive validity. We may have to wait for years. Then we can conclude that it has got predictive validity or not. But the concurrent, non-concurrently or concurrent validity is that we will be able to check it at the same time, whether it can see whether scores on it correspond to ratings students received on their interviewing skills in videotapes in which they all played interviewing situations. To assess the concurrent validity of a test, to measure the interviewing skills of students. If we are trying to assess the interviewing skills of the students, how able or how well the MSW students are able to conduct interviews. Okay, so we are trying to assess the ability of the students to conduct the interviews. For that, if we are developing a tool, the results will tell us that which students have got high level interviewing skills or medium level or low level interviewing skills. But whether these findings correlate with the rating students received on the interviewing skills in videotapes in which they all played interviewing situations. Okay. So in the videotapes, they have all played the interviewing situations and they were assessed. Okay. So in that assessment, in that process, whether they are in the high level interviewing skills or medium level interviewing skills or low level interviewing skills, whether these two things have been correlated or not, then we conclude that our tool has got concurrent validity. And the third one, very often the researchers used to find out or to conclude whether they have got validity, the tools have got validity or not, is non-groups validity. It's non-groups validity. This is what is been mainly used by many researchers to conclude whether the tool has got validity or not. That is criterion validity, that is non-groups validity. So in the society, we know that some people are like this and some people are good in this, some people are bad in this, some people may perform in this way and all. For example, non-groups validity, whether an instrument accurately differentiate between groups not to differ. No, a group alag hai. A group, for example, here it is given experienced clinical social workers. Clinical social workers, then first year students and undergraduate engineering major students. So the scores accurately differentiate between groups not to differ in interviewing skills. In long interviewing skills, to assess the interviewing skills, the researchers have developed a tool. Okay, interviewing skills is something like that. it has been understood that the experienced clinical social workers are very good in interviewing skills. Without that, they cannot be good clinical social workers. So we know that majority, it is their work. They are trained for that. They have expertise in that. So their interviewing skills are better than the first year students because they are still to get trained properly. They are freshers, no? First year MSW students. They are getting training only. So compared to the experienced clinical social workers, those who have got enough experience, expertise, and knowledge, they are better interviewers than the first year students and undergraduate engineering major students. Here, we suppose that the engineering students, in case of soft skills or life skills and interviewing skills, they don't come in contact with human beings much and all. So it is assumed that the non-groups, there is a difference between the experienced clinical social workers interviewing skills and undergraduate engineering major students in interviewing skills. So the results of our tool, which we have developed for interviewing skills, whether its results differentiate properly between these three groups with respect to the findings, then we conclude that the tool we have developed is a valid tool. Okay, example of weak non-group validity here, the example of strong non-groups validity. Okay, if the tool is having, if the tool we have developed is having strong non-group validity, the average score will look like this. See? While the experienced clinical social workers, the average score is 97. Fine. So they are better interviewers and they have scored better in the tool. With the help of the tool, they are being scored well. While the first year students, they have scored 78, which is far below than the experienced social workers. While the undergraduate engineering major students, they have scored far less than these two groups. So this tool have got a strong non-group validity according to the non-group's validity criteria. And the example of weak non-group validity, हमने वो develop किया है tool. It hardly differentiates between the non-groups. Okay, so ये scale use किया है, उसमें से experienced clinical social workers, they have scored less than the first year students. And there's no much difference between the undergraduate engineering major students' scores and the experienced clinical social workers' scores also. There's no much difference. So with common sense also, we can conclude there's something wrong with the tool, no? So otherwise, how is it possible? इनको भी एक grade मिला है, इनको भी एक grade मिला है. So what about experiences and all? So the non-group validity, it accurately differentiates between non-groups to differ in interviewing skills. So this is the validity. So we have seen that there should be enough space we will be giving in our research process, research design. When we prepare the research design, we need to keep all this in our minds when we go through the steps in making a research design. The reliability and validity are two important points we need to keep in mind when we try to go through these steps. Steps in preparing a research design. Consider the priorities and practicalities. What we are going to do. What will be the topic? Consider our priorities and is it possible or not. In this, whether we should go for a qualitative study or a quantitative study, whether we should go for interview schedule or questionnaires, the practicalities can have, if we use a questionnaire, we can post it, we can get the data soon, maybe on post also, on mail also. With the help of interviews on phones, we may be able to do, with email, we may be able to do. But what type of study we are going to do? We need to define our priorities, okay? Whether it is a detailed study or whether it is a cause-effect study with the help of survey research. So our priorities we need to understand. Accordingly, we need to use the decide whether it is a descriptive study or an experimental study. Priorities and practicalities. Practicality में क्या आएगा? Whether there is scope for an experimental study. And again, if experimental study, whether we should go for a true experimental study, whether experimental group and control group both are possible or not, both are feasible or not, okay, whether it can be done or not. In case a true experimental study is not possible, we may go for a pre-experimental study. Okay, the pre-experimental study, we may not be following the whole process of experimental study, but we will be using the pre-experimental studies. Then we may be using quasi-experimental studies also. Most often in social science research, the researchers follow quasi-experimental studies, and a random selection may not be possible always. So then quasi-experimental studies can be done with the help of a comparable group. Okay. Sometimes ethically it is not correct to withhold an intervention